So just to correct those lanes for you, Fred Kerley is out in 7 now. And he was originally meant to be in lane 4. They're in lane 3, Igbokwe. But this is a new generation of 400-metre runners. The oldest of these men is 24. Kerley is 24, Bloomfield 21, Norman 21. Karani James, remember, was only 18 when he won the World Championships back in 2011. Van Niekerk, when he broke the world record in Rio, was only 24. But they're not running. No champions, no medalists from recent global championships over the last 6 or 8 years go in this race. But it is a very high-caliber field. And I understand Mike Norman, in lane 5, wants to run fast. Kerley goes in 7, Norman in 5. They were 1 and 2 in the US Championships. So, already Mike Norman in the headband there, centre of picture, has gone off very fast indeed in that rocking style of his. He's fabulously fast over 200, and he's already closing on the man outside him. Down the back straight, Norman pulling away and beginning to close. Kerley going hard though, to left of picture, out in lane 7. Kerley leading at the moment, fabulously powerful is Kerley. He's a big fella, 6'3", 93 kilograms. They come off the bend, and in between them, it's Bloomfield looking strong. Norman trying to come back and get past the pair of them. Kerley is unable to respond, and Norman's going to take it by a metre. 44.28. Wow, oh wow. That's the quickest time for some weeks on the global scene. Of course, Mike Norman, the world number 1, 43.45. But that one he worked very, very hard for. He committed early, didn't he? 44.26 is the official winning time, and a degree of revenge there over Fred Kerley for the shocking, huge shock it was, the defeat he handed Mike Norman at those US Championships, 6 weeks back in Des Moines, Iowa. But he had to work for this one, didn't he, Mike Norman? Chris, he maybe in lane 5 had the advantage of having Kerley in his sights.
Well, Bloomfield as well was really in the mix, wasn't he, there with, 50 to go, but then faded badly, and what a performance by Mike Norman. He's a really exciting, he's quite a thoughtful athlete. He was one of the athletes put up for the press conference yesterday, and he spoke really well, I thought, very eloquently about his prospects and the race itself today. And he said if the conditions were right, he would look to do something really special. I think conditions not particularly ideal this evening, a little on the cool side, but that will be some revenge for him. It'll taste very, very sweet indeed. And Fred Kerley, as you can see, they're having to settle for second place. A fabulous season as well in both 100 and 200 metres. And Gino Lückenkämper from Germany completes the lineup in lane 8, the German number 2. But this really, I would suggest, all about Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce and Dina Asher-Smith. SFFP, if you like, against DAS. The 2 standout athletes of 2019. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, of course, who gave birth to her daughter a couple of years ago and has made a terrific return. So Emmanuel in 1, Hobbs 2, skippers from the Netherlands in 3, Asher-Smith in the blue, their centre of picture, in 4, Fraser-Pryce, the double Olympic champion, goes in 5, Talu, Ivory Coast 6, Okagbari, Nigeria in 7, Lückenkämper from Germany in lane 8. Asher-Smith in 4, Fraser-Pryce in 5.
Set.
Might be a terrific start there from Dina Asher-Smith. She's so strong. Are these 2 already going? But Fraser-Pryce coming back at it as well. Talu in pursuit. But which one's it going to be? Is Asher-Smith going to get there on the line? I think she is. Yes, she is. Into a slight headwind. 10.87 the winning time. Brilliant from Asher-Smith. Now that is a real scalp. Second in London behind Asher-Smith, behind Fraser-Pryce at the end of July. But Asher-Smith, you know, is a real medal prospect for Doha in 3 weeks' time. She's doubling up in the 100 and the 200. Second in the 200, of course, in Zurich last week, which was brilliant behind Shawnee Miller-Weibo. But Asher-Smith, in a season's best, 10.88. She's run sub-11 in every single race she's done this year, and that is probably the best of the lot, beating Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce on her return to Brussels. She threatened to come back, but Fraser Price couldn't get there, and Asher Smith, Tim, held firm.
Absolutely fantastic from Asher Smith. There were 2 or 3 different phases in this race. Asher actually, I think, lost the lead at around 50. She led early on, lost the lead at 50, came back, battled against Fraser Price and pulled clear towards the line. It is a brilliant run on what is a cool evening here in Brussels. We're sitting here in jackets. It's certainly far from ideal for the sprinters, but she comes out of the block so well. Fraser Price, the Jamaican, is always such a good starter in the headband, and there I think she's in the lead. Dina just battles back. She responds to Fraser Price. It's wonderful that she can keep working so hard and up her work rate and draw clear. That is a huge win for her. The best she's looked this year against the clock and in every other respect.
Well, what a way to go into the World Championship in Doha, repeating just under 3 weeks away.
Monaco back in early July, 8:04. The world record was set this track, by the way, by Shaheen of Qatar, 7:53 back in 2004. Indeed, that world record of Shaheen celebrated its 15th birthday just 3 days ago. Now, the pace that's been requested is quick, it's crisp. It could lead to a sub-8 minute performance if they stick with it. The first kilometre has been requested at 2:38. And you need somebody who's prepared to go with those 2 pacemakers. Kones and Kipsang. Kones, Wilberforce, Chemyat Kones is the first pacemaker. He's an 8:22 performer at his best in the steeplechase. He's got to 1K in around 2:38, and then for 2K they've asked for 5:18, so a 2:40 middle kilometre split. But Wale is leading the chase, and he doesn't seem too prepared to go with this. You need somebody to take the responsibility when a fast pace is requested by somebody in the field, and then the pacemakers pull away and get a gap like this. It's so frustrating, because you think, well, which of you asked for that pace? Why aren't you going with it? What's the point? Bakali, tallest in the field, happy to sit in there in about 8th or 9th place at the moment, just watching the rest of these men as they come to the water jump for the first time. No problems there. Be interesting to see how Czeslaw Kipruto goes in this sort of company. There he is in the grey vest, about 7th place. Stuttering badly before that barrier. El Bakali is watching Kipruto as his pacemakers continue to push on. They go through with 6 laps to run. They're trying their hardest to drag this field out to a 2:38 clocking. I'm not sure it's going to be that quick.
So women's long jump, Brittany Rees, full-time world champion with, well, not the best of starts here in Brussels this weekend. A couple of no jumps. This is round 3. Can she get on the board here for the first time? So experienced. That looks better. Just a little looser, just to make sure. So important, of course, to make your mark, because the pressure increases, as Britain's Katarina Johnson-Thompson knows only too well. Remember what happened to her in Beijing in 2015, but Brittany Rees, far too experienced to repeat that. 32 years old now. She's been very sparing this season with her appearances. She jokingly said in the press conference, "That's because I'm old. I need to conserve my energy and my body." And, well, she's a real character. She's found a mark here in round 3, 6:51 for Brittany Rees. Now then, European champion Malaika Mihambo. Brilliant sequence so far. She's so fabulously consistent. 6:97, 6:99, and that's even better. That's over 7 metres. She's the world #1 this year with 7:16, the German. She is in the form of her life. She's also rather generous on takeoff there, 14 centimetres to the board. But Mihambo, very much the one to watch here, one to catch. Mihambo, 7:03, 7 metres 3. She extends her lead in round 3.
Well, back to this steeplechase, almost 3.5 minutes on the clock, and sure enough, that first kilometre was a lot slower than expected. Remember, they wanted 2:38? Well, it was 2:41.95, and that's the pacemakers. So the pack, most of the pack were going through in around 2:43, 2:44. Not quick, that's 8:10, 8:12 pace. Germa is long and lean, isn't he? Pushing along behind these pacemakers in 3rd place. He's only 18 years old, the Ethiopian lad. Came 3rd in Paris a couple of weeks back in a very crisp 8:08, and it was only a few tenths outside his lifetime best. El Bakkali, who has a viciously quick finish, back in 8th place, just staying off the curb, so he gets a good view of the barriers as he comes to them, but he looks very relaxed indeed, the Moroccan. It's pretty open, the steeplechase this year. Going into the World Championships, nobody really features. That's Tindouf, another Moroccan, an 8:12 performer we saw just then. But they'll be coming to the 2K points soon.
Back to the long jump then. 4th round, Lorraine Hougen, the second British jumper in this competition alongside Katarina Johnson-Thompson. Lorraine Hougen based in the United States for several years now. There's a sequence so far. So looking to improve on 6:58. That looks better from Lorraine Hougen, former British champion. Hasn't quite been at the level she was a couple of years ago. Well, look at that. That's absolutely inch perfect without eating into the plasticine. Really taking a risk there on takeoff, Lorraine Hougen. Very tall, upright. 6:70 in round 4. She's getting better and better.
Well, remember, almost 2:42 at 1,000. The pacemaker still out there. Wale in 2nd place. The youngster has been given the responsibility of going with the pace. And 2:46 that 2nd kilometre. Well, 5:28 at 2K. They really have dawdled through the middle stages of the race, and that means it's a kicker's race. Caballero of Spain, Caro, excuse me, European Championship silver medalist, is towards the back of the group. They're 2nd from the back in the headband. But this opens up all sorts of possibilities. When a race is this slow and they come through now with 2 laps to run, the pack is all there, quite tightly bunched. Who is going to lose patience and kick away from this turgid mid-race tempo? El Bakkali in 5th place now, has moved up. Is there as well. Of the USA, you can see in about 4th or 5th place on the inside, running the shortest line. So it's Wale and Girma. Keegan, who is so strong, the winner of the African Games, as I said, just 10 days or so ago. He moving up around the outside, and El Bakkali is shadowing him. He knows he's got his hands full here, El Bakkali. About 550 to run, and nobody has yet really committed or tested this field. They're all gambling on being able to hurdle well on that final lap and defeat the others with a sprint on the last 400 circuit. 3 abreast. El Bakkali in the slipstream.
Well, you wonder if it's Bakkali's year, because El Bakkali, of course, in the last 2 Diamond League finals has been pipped by Kipruto as they hit the bell, and El Bakkali now well placed, and Kipruto is playing catch up here.
Well, Conceição Kipruto is back in about 7th place. He just hasn't got the form, I think, to go with this, although he has got fabulous flat speed. Wale and Girma, the 2 youngsters from Ethiopia. Well, can you believe that this is the event that the Kenyans say they've dominated their territory? 10 of the 12 men in history have gone under 8 minutes in Kenyan. But Wale and Girma here from Ethiopia with El Bakkali, the Moroccan, mixing it with them. Keegan trying to go with them as well, although he's grimacing hard now. The water jump for the final time. This is vital, but El Bakkali takes it very smoothly indeed. There's Hilary Bohr goes through with his number having dropped down, his bib number having dropped down. He's in 5th place and isolated. But as El Bakkali got the speed of this final barrier, he moves wide there. Up alongside, sandwiched between the 2 young Ethiopians, working hard for the line. Is he going to get there? The Ethiopian moves wide, out into lane 3 they finish. Well, that might come down to the referee, I'm not sure. El Bakkali having to shove him aside, and Wale has given it, I think. But controversy there, because certainly I think Wale shifted right over the last 20 yards, probably moved right about a yard, maybe more than a metre, into the path of El Bakkali. Beaten yet again, as you said, Chris, his 3rd consecutive runner-up position in the Diamond League final. It could have been $50,000, it's going to be 20. 8:06 though, very quick time off that slow early pace. A 2:46 after a 2:42 first kilometre.
Well, you have to feel sorry for El Bakkali. For once, Kipruto not in contention. That's no surprise given the injury problems we've had. But off that last barrier, El Bakkali got his head down, didn't he? Quite literally. And there, was that an arm just putting a cross in from Wale? Maybe we'll have another look at that. We may have some repercussions, but Wale would not be moved. And El Bakkali, well, you know, the margin by which he lost to Kipruto in the last 2 years, the sum of that is only 1400ths of a second, and once again he has to settle for second place, provided that Wale is not penalised for that arm. I'm not sure he did enough to warrant disqualification.
No, I agree. I don't think that merited disqualification. It was borderline, shall we say, and El Bakkali didn't seem to be remonstrating afterwards, so he's accepted it. All the photographers looking for that special shot in the water jump. El Bakkali, though, looked strong and confident, and I thought he would have the legs off that final barrier. He moved wide to get past the youngster. But Wale, well, at 19 years of age, he's only about a second outside his lifetime best there to win that one. Hasn't raced since Monaco, apart from the All-Africa Games, so he's really restricted his racing. But a 1 and 3 for Ethiopia. They're bracketing El Bakkali, the world #1 on paper and world championship silver medalist. It seems he's destined to always be second.
He knows his history. He knows how quick this track is. Noah Lyles then goes in 7. Edward in 1. Baloyes, Colombia 2. Quiñones from Ecuador in 3. Brown, Canadian in 4. Guliev, the reigning world champion, goes in 5. De Grasse 6, Canada. Lyles in 7. Jeremy Richards, Trinidad and Tobago in 8. Van der Bemden, the Belgian, goes in lane 9. Meeting record, as we mentioned, Johan Blake, 19:26 back in 2011. Second fastest time of all time. Lyles in 7. Men's 200 metres. Well, let's see how Noah Lyles does on this famous bend. He's like a Pendolino high-speed train, isn't he? The way he just leans into that bend, and already he's had an absolute flyer. Guliev going well as well. De Grasse in the mix, and also coming through is Aaron Brown. But this is really good from Noah Lyles, but De Grasse is giving him a run. Also is Guliev, but it's brilliant from Lyles. He's slowed down, 1974. I think he decided the conditions weren't quite right to attack something and go really special. 1950. His season's best and lifetime best in Lausanne, 1974. But he makes a bit of history here, does Noah Lyles. He's the first athlete to win the Diamond Trophy in the 100 and the 200 in the same season, 1974. And that augurs well, and surely now he is the red-hot favourite for the world title in Doha in 3 weeks' time.
Well, I think you're dead right, Chris. I think he decided to not give it full power there. He didn't run a particularly aggressive bend. Indeed, if anything, Guliev was slightly ahead of him, about 70 or 80. They came into the straight, and this is where Lyles' real strength, his speed endurance, pulls him clear. But he eased off well before the tape. Look at that, shuts down about 6 or 8 strides out. And there was plenty more there, probably another couple of tenths if he had wanted. But he's absolutely right not to push it as the rain begins to come down. It wasn't a night for running under 1950. I think he would have done if it had been a lovely, warm Brussels evening, but you've got to be sensible, and who knows, maybe that's kept him healthy, just running at 95%, not 99.9.
He's got a really wise head on his shoulders for one so young. I think he's surrounded by some excellent people who give him good advice. Of course, he's entertaining. We love him in press conferences, but he also delivers. But today, I think that was a really sensible race here with the World Championships 3 weeks out. 1974, the winning time. Another $50,000 for Noah Lyles. That's $100,000 he's banked in the last week. And Hassan in Zurich last week in the 1,500 metres. There she is, the Dutch woman. Women's 5,000 metres. Well, packed with quality, and the pace they've asked for, 2:16 through 800 metres, which gives us, 58-second lapping. And the pace, I think, Tim, today will be crucial. I think if well paced, they could threaten something around the meeting record, although the conditions, I think, will also have a hand in that. 14:18, a really fast time from Almaz Alyana from Ethiopia 3 years ago in 2016. But pacing, I would suggest, absolutely crucial.
Well, it is, but who will go with it? We've seen so many examples this summer of pacemakers going up. We've seen a lot of bad pacemaking this year, actually, but we've also seen pacemakers go out at the requested pace and the rest of the field ignoring it. But let me tell you that 68 seconds per lap, and as you said, that is what's been requested for the first 3 laps at least, is world record tempo. That would bring them home in 14:10. So it'll be very interesting to see whether or not somebody will take the bull by the horns in the middle of this race. 5,000's a very difficult distance to get right. It's fairly simple to run the first 3 or 4 laps pretty quick. You know, you're fresh. But actually, it's that middle section when you start having to dig in a little bit, and you haven't even reached halfway yet, that is very, very tough. When you get to, you know, you've got 5 or 6 laps to run, and you're beginning to work, your mind plays tricks on you, and it says, look, he's back. There's no way you're going to be able to maintain this.
Well, Chepkoech there just tucking in behind the pacemakers. Not known, of course, for the 5,000 metres. She very rarely runs this distance.
Well, Demireva then in this high jump competition has cleared 189 and goes clear there at 193. That's her 3rd jump, her 3rd first-time clearance. Looking very, very smooth indeed is Demireva, the Bulgarian, silver medalist in Rio, silver medalist in the last 2 European Championships. 29. Maybe you'd think that if she was ever going to take one of those major titles, she'd have had her moment. But she has jumped well this summer. She's jumped 197 this year, and she's looking very smooth indeed there at 193. Here is Thiam. Now, first attempt for her. How the crowd would love to see her go clear here. But let's forget, she's a 202 jumper. Oh, and she looked it there. That wasn't even a very tidy jump. Took off way too far from the bar, and actually was coming down by the time she got over it. But she's such a big, powerful woman. Don't know her exact height, but she's about 6'3", and with 202 from Talence this year, she's 2nd on the world rankings, even though she's only one, of course, of her 7 disciplines.
Lasitskene then with that trademark style. She leans back and then just bursts into life. 17 meetings unbeaten this year. It's going to take a monumental effort to remove her from the top of the pile. Yes, nice. Strapping on the right leg doesn't seem to be impeding her at all.
Just like Demireva, she's had 3 jumps, all have been first-time clearances. Thiam had a little hiccup at 189. She only cleared that at the 2nd attempt, so she's back in 3rd place behind Demireva and Lasitskene.
Well, back to this women's 5,000 metres. I can tell you they went through 800 metres in 2:20, so slower than the required pace of 2:16. And Obiri is in there, Chepkoech as well. 2:55, just under 2:56 for the first kilometre. And it really seems to be slowing down. Obiri there with that rocking style, with Klosterhalfen just behind her. Chepkoech, she's the intriguing one in this, of course. She's not known as a flat runner at all, but she's got some speed over certainly 3,000 metres. Came 4th in Doha at the start of the season. Tirop is in there as well. So Tirop, Chepkoech, Sifan Hassan just keeping well out of trouble there. Klosterhalfen tugging the inside line, and Obiri very experienced.
Well, there is Katerina Stefanidi. She was at the a press conference yesterday wearing that thick coat. It's like a huge quilted duvet, and she's wearing it again in the rain. I don't blame her. But here is Sidorova. Oh, yes. Goes clear there, Sidorova. 2nd attempt at 470. Looks angry with herself. Boy, is she clear of that. There's inches between herself and the bar there. Plenty of daylight. So on she marches. Now Sandy Morris. And Morris has recorded her first failure at this height. She's had a perfect card up to here. No, and that was untidy too, wasn't it? Want to stay tight to the pole. And legs were wide apart on the way up. It was untidy from Sandy Morris there, and she's in a little spot of bother here. One attempt left for the American, who's normally so consistent. There's the drummers for that 5,000 metres, Chris. How they love it, these distance runners, wherever they're from. Really gets everybody and the crowd in the mood.
Well, a little bit of confusion there by the pacemaker, but Chepkoech is still in there, Tirop as well, approaching 2 kilometres. In fact, there we are, 5:54 at 2 kilometres, so approaching halfway in this race. Tirop then, Obiri, so experienced, not just on the track, of course, but over the cross country. She won the world title in Aarhus in Denmark earlier this year. Klosterhalfen, who, as I say, is so improved. The move to the USA has been so good for her, for Klosterhalfen. National records in the 1500, the mile, the 3000 and the 5000 this year. And it's great to see. She's almost unrecognisable, is the German.
Well, 11 athletes in that group, Chris. Hassan just tucked in there, 3 from the back, 4 from the back. She clearly just wants to test her racing nous here against this very strong field of mainly Africans. Klosterhalfen, I think, would probably prefer the pace to be a little bit quicker. Interesting athlete in the back of the group, Debu Stafford, who's been running so fabulously over 1500 recently. Well, we can go to the discus now. And Andreas Gudzius, 3rd round, opened with a 59, then a 63, and that is better. That is much better from Gudzius. No celebration from him because, of course, he's chasing that monster 68-meter throw, the opener from Stoll. Weisheidinger through 65 with his 2nd effort. He lies in 2nd place. With Gudzius, the reigning world champion, had his day of days in London a couple of years back, has thrown 67, almost 68 this year. That 3rd round effort from the Lithuanian, 65.19, moves from 7th up to 3rd. Good progress, and 3 rounds to come.
6 laps to go then in this women's 5,000 metres, and it's Kenya 1, 2 and 3. And Eva Chirono has taken up the lead here, the 23-year-old finalist in the Commonwealth Games, with Agnes Tirop, who is a dark horse in many ways, less high profile than Helen Obiri, who is the 3rd of those 3 Kenyans. Klosterhalfen in 4th. And, well, there is Sifan Hassan just biding her time. She's the European champion, of course, over 5,000 metres. Chirono there just having a look round. But Obiri with that instantly recognisable rollicking style there. So smooth, but she can wind it up, believe you me, in the latter stages of this race. So Kenya dominating at the moment. Gide in there for Ethiopia, the youngster, just coming up onto the shoulder of Obiri, who starts to take closer order. And I'm sure we'll see Hassan starting to make her way through the field as well. But Obiri controlling the pace of this race, approaching 9 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, it's slow, isn't it, Chris? I mean, the first kilometre, 2:56, almost. The 2nd kilometre was almost 2:59. Don't quite understand. I mean, it's not so cold that they should be wanting to keep it this slow. There you go, at 2:57, almost at 2:58. And 8:52 at 3,000. It's very slow for many of these athletes. And yet again, we're going to see a big tactical race here over the 2nd half, a big burn-up in the latter stages.
Well, 11 or 12 athletes still bunched together.
So, Litvinenko then, one failure at 193. She cleared 189 without any trouble. Second attempt. Yes, that's nice. And she liked it, no mistaking that. Well, so often these athletes keep their emotions in check. She is the world indoor champion from back in 2014, 33 years old now, one of the oldest in this discipline, fresh from winning the Polish title in Radom just last week with 1:90, 1:93 there from Litvinenko. Well, it's only a centimetre below her season's best. Levchenko, same for her. recorded her first failure of the competition. It's the second time at 193, and that's good as well. Only 21 years old. She is a 2-meter jumper earlier on this season. Some 7 women have broken 2 meters this year. But the Ukrainian World Championship silver medalist looking strong.
Well, Obiri now has Tirop and Kipkemboi as well. Kipkemboi, one of the other Kenyans, also taking closer order with the white headband. But Tirop sticking to Obiri like a limpet. She came second in the Diamond League race in London at the end of July. Klosterhalfen there just looking very, very comfortable in that pack. And still we have, 11 or 12 athletes with Debus Stafford just at the back of that pack. Maybe just starting to drop off the back. Laura Muir's training partner, of course. Laura Muir, who missed the 1500 metres final last week. Sifan Hassan just second from the back with 3 laps to go. But Obiri, as she likes to, just controlling the pace here. Tirop has got the inside line. And it's a question now of who will make the first move and when.
Almost 72 seconds that lap. It hasn't accelerated at all. When you think that there was talk of them moving at 250 per kilometre, I didn't think that was very realistic. But, you know, when they're moving at almost 3 minutes per kilometre, that is quite some differential. Klosterhalfen looking comfortable, isn't she? Bouncing along there on the outside alongside Kemboi. Chepkoech did her stint to the front. She's back in about 6th place, just losing ground, and actually get to the right of picture there. Chepkemboi losing ground very, very quickly indeed. It's almost like she's hit the buffers, and Hassan got caught behind her. It's having to close the gap there, Chris, and that's a lot of work you're having to put in late in the race that you don't need to.
Very much so. She's stuck rather in no man's land, because this group of 5 athletes just made a bit of a break, and it was Gide with that injection of pace. Gide, the Ethiopian, as they'll come round with 2 to go, and Obiri. Now the field is starting to split with Klosterhalfen in 3rd place, Tirop there as well, and Hassan covered it well. She's done very sensibly, just taken her time to get back. So we've got 6 athletes now who are clear into the last 800 metres of this race. Hassan at the back there, Kipkemboi you can see just in front, Tirop and Klosterhalfen. So it's Kenya dominating, but it's the Ethiopian Gide who's leading the way.
Isn't she a lovely looking athlete too? I think she's wary of that finishing speed of Obiri and Hassan and 1 or 2 others, Gide, but she really gallops, doesn't she? She's right up on her toes. She's a lovely looking runner, bounces along the 21-year-old, and she is testing them here. It's beginning to be worn down to just 3 or 4, that leading group, although ominously Hassan, they're right at the back of it, Chris. I like to think on her recent form is just biding her time.
Yeah, very much so, with a 1500 and mile speed in her legs. And Gide there into the home straight. They'll hit the bell very shortly indeed. Obiri, of course, is so dangerous. Klosterhalfen, these 4 well clear, and it's the big names we were expecting. Tirop, you think now is gone, hitting the bell. 400 to go then. Ethiopia leading through Gide. Obiri then, the world champion and the cross-country champion in 2nd place. Hassan and Klosterhalfen, teammates, of course, now in Poland under the tutelage of Alberto Salazar. These 4 well clear with 300 to go, but Gide looking very purposeful. Obiri can start to look erratic, and there goes Hassan. Hassan's had enough, the handbrake's off. Now then, will there be a response from Obiri down the back straight with 250 to go? This is decisive. Hassan has not beaten Obiri over 5,000 metres in 4 attempts. This, though, is decisive. And look at Klosterhalfen. She's going to rein in Gide as well. Klosterhalfen fancies this. This could be a 1-2 for Alberto Salazar's stable. Hassan has a little look round into the home straight. Hassan's got this done. Brilliant last week in Zurich. And now into the home straight as the crowd rise. She's blitzed this field apart as Hassan. It's not going to be quick, but what a decisive break in the last 500-600 metres. Brilliant from Hassan. 2nd place goes to Gide, just coming through to deny Salazar a 1-2. Klosterhalfen in 3rd. 59.70 that last lap. Absolutely outstanding from Sifan Hassan, a double Diamond League champion, 1,500 metres in Zurich last week, and now the 5,000 metre champion for 2019, and him a first ever win over Hellen Obiri over 5,000 metres.
Yeah, and wasn't it comfortable too? A very out of sorts Hellen Obiri tonight, I have to say. I mean, she's normally so fabulously consistent when you think that she won the World Cross Country earlier on this year, and she is strong and fast, but she had no response at all once Hassan kicked away, and she normally has those gears, Obiri herself. Hassan's last lap, as you said, 59.70, and I think she had more in the tank. I mean, let's not forget, she won in Zurich last week over 1,500 in 3:57 with a 57 last lap, so there was plenty more there. I mean, she really only kicks away in the last 300, doesn't she? She's well into the last 300 when she lets rip. Little glance over her shoulder there. She looks very smooth indeed, not straining, almost metronomic, and she winds it up, she carries on, clicking it up. One little acceleration after another, but it's very smooth indeed. Another check over her shoulder. She probably can't believe that Obiri's not there. I'd have a quick look over my right shoulder, I think, just to be doubly sure. But that's a very comfortable win indeed, and that is championship medal winning finishing from Hassan, and she will definitely go to the World Championships as outstanding favourite over 12.5 laps.
Well, this was a thrilling move when she made it from Hassan. Made her decision, obviously premeditated. Guide just couldn't live with it. Klosterhalfen was dragged through at this stage, and Obiri was left for dead. And here she comes, Hassan. As you say, Tim, just that little glance over the shoulder, but she knew that she was clear. And this is all auguring well. Of course, she hasn't formally decided how to double up in Doha. There's talk of her doing perhaps the 15 and the 10,000, which is an unusual doubling up. But Hassan, such range, such versatility, and their confirmation of her second Diamond League title in as many in 2 weeks. Guide in second place, splitting the Salazar pair. Klosterhalfen coming through in third.
But Freddie Crittenden, all sandwiched between two of the really big names of the high hurdle scene. Ortega in 5, Shubenkov in 7. Shubenkov, there he is, very powerfully built big Russian in lane 7. He said when he was third in Zagreb earlier in the week that he is gradually getting back his form, but it's been a tough way back. He fell very heavily, grazed and injured one of his shoulders in Rabat a few weeks back. So Pozzi in 2, Levy 3, G in 4, Ortega 5, Crittenden 6, Shubenkov 7, Makana in lane 8. Well, good start there from Crittenden, also from Ortega. Sent her a picture in the white. Ortega looking strong, also looking good as Levy in lane 3. But Ortega moving through now. Here comes Shubenkov. He's trying to get past Crittenden. It's going to be Ortega, I think, but by a small margin. And maybe second place going there to Levy over on the far side. The Commonwealth champion in lane 3. Winning time 13.23, 0 wind. But when you take into account this cool evening, and it's certainly got a couple of degrees cooler in the last half hour, well, that's not bad at all. 13.23. for Orlando Ortega. A workmanlike performance from the former Cuban, now a proud Spanish citizen since July 2015. And he's very consistent indeed. He won the Spanish title in La Nucia just recently. A week before, he won in Madrid, and then he was second in Paris in the Diamond League a couple of weeks ago. So he's very, very consistent. 13.22 from Levy's 13.31. He wins by best part of a metre from the Jamaican. Shubenkov 13.33 will be really pleased with that. It's significantly quicker than he ran in Rabat 4 days ago.
Well, consistency, you're absolutely right, Tim, is the word, and just reward really for a fabulous season from Ortega. Levy going well as well. Pozzi really working hard in lane 2 but not really making any inroads. Crittenden trying to do some damage, and Shubenkov did come back pretty strongly, didn't he? And he'll be pleased with that, I think, after that dramatic fall in Rabat that you referred to. But Ortega really has been Mr. Consistency this season, and I think he richly deserves that. He finished with 28 points on the road to the final here, comfortably ahead of Shubenkov. A word about Omar McLeod, by the way, opted not to compete here this weekend, maybe keeping his powder dry for Doha in 3 weeks' time.
Yes, McLeod, a notable absentee. He's ranked 4th in the world this year, but Ortega there, well, it's a familiar pose. He's a serial winner, this fella.
Ali in 6, USA. Herman Belarus in 7. Nelvis, USA in 8. Zagre goes in lane 9. Williams, though, in absolutely sparkling form. Harrison in 4. Williams in 5. Women's 100 metres hurdles. Oh, false starts. The first one of the evening. We've got through, what, an hour and a half of the main programme without a false start. Now then, who's the culprit, if indeed there is one? Just looking at the reaction times, and it could be, you know, it could be Toby Amusan. Yep, the camera's picked her out, and our computer system here, Tim, has picked her out.
Well, she's clearly trying to deny it. And of course, her reaction time has been given, Chris, is 0.096, and so she's 4/1000ths of a second quicker than the permissible reaction time. Now, is it possible that she can react that quickly? I suspect it is. If the rules dictate that actually 1/10 of a second is okay, but 4/1000ths quicker is not, who's to say she's not got extraordinary reactions?
Well, there has to be a line somewhere, I guess, and that line is 0.1, and by the strict rule of the law, that is inside, albeit by a very small margin. But Amusan continues to protest her innocence. Amusan then from lane 3, still not happy at all, and a little bit of reaction from the crowd here, who are not happy, I would suggest, at the way she's reacting to this. Let's come up on the big screen and the stadium announcer. Let's have another look again. Here we go. Well, that's barely perceptible, isn't it, to the naked eye, Tim?
Impossible to tell, even in that slow motion shot. It's not the ideal, is it, from behind? But, you know, you can apply pressure to those pads, to the starting blocks, without it necessarily being clearly visible. And it is that pressure which creates a buzz in the starter's ear set. She is very, very unhappy. You don't see this too often these days.
Well, this is a better angle, isn't it? Again, she's on the far side, right of picture, and again, that's not conclusive at all. And when we're talking about 4/1000ths of a second, it is unlikely to be conclusive to the naked eye. This has all been done by computer, and of course this is delaying the rest of the program, and the other athletes who are still out on the track will have to keep warm on what is a cool evening here in Brussels.
Third to left is Amusan. Watch this. She did get away before the others, but was it legitimate? The rules say no, it wasn't. If it was faster than 1/10 of a second, there you can see the third number down, 0.096. I'm afraid that is a full start according to the rules. So she probably believes in her own mind, Chris, quite honestly, that she did not full start. That's why she's disputing it. But I'm afraid you have to accept the referee's decision, the umpire's decision, whatever sport it is. You cannot hold up proceedings like this. And on a cool night, it's the last thing the other ladies need, frankly. You have to sympathise with her, but at the same time, the others have got to refocus.
They're not going to change their mind, that's the bottom line. So lane 3 is now empty. Let's take you through the lineup again. Roller Germany in 1, Clemens USA goes in 2, lane 3 now empty. Harrison then in lane 4, the world record holder in the light blue, centre of picture. Alongside her, Danielle Williams, the world number 1, the in-form athlete from Jamaica, goes in 5. Nia Ali USA 6. Herman Belarus goes in 7. Nelvis USA in 8. And Zagre, the Belgian champion, goes in lane 9, left of picture. So clear daylight now between lanes 2 and 4. Harrison in 4, Williams in 5.
Set.
Good start this time for Williams, the in-form athlete. Also going well is Clemens on the near side, but Williams has got half a yard here on Harrison, and she's pulling away here. This is a continuation of the form she's shown over the last few weeks. Brilliant from Williams, absolutely outstanding. Not a breath of wind at all. 12:47 the winning time. That's the 4th fastest in the world this year. She is the fastest with that 12:32 from London, but further evidence that Danielle Williams, who, remember, has been in dispute with her national federation in Jamaica over a false start earlier in the summer, that thankfully looks to have been resolved. She will be going to the World Championships in Doha, and she does so as the in-form athlete. 12:46. It's a 3rd consecutive victory for Danielle Williams.
Well, there's no denying it. She was easily the better on the night. She won by a big margin. I think if the conditions had been better, if it had been a warmer night, then we'd have been down in the 12.3s, and that would have made it extra special. Kenny Harrison never got close to her, frankly, and Williams continued to pull away through the race. She did get a slightly better start, much better the first hurdle, That put Kenny Harrison there, third from right, under enormous pressure, and she looked fairly ordinary, Kenny Harrison. I mean, she's having a battle keeping the likes of Christina Clemens over in lane 2 at bay, and indeed in lane 6, Nia Ali taking third place. But 12.46 for Williams, 12.73 for Kenny Harrison. That is a gulf in sprint hurdling times. Danielle Williams, though, I mean, that is probably one of the quickest times on a cool evening like this there's ever been, Chris. It was a very special performance, as the margin between her and the rest makes all too clear.
Well, there's no doubt about it. In the last few weeks, Danielle Williams has gone up several notches and is the athlete to catch. Williams then 12.46. Harrison leading a trio of Americans ahead of Ali and Nelvis in third and fourth. So Williams can go to Doha and prepare to go to Doha with some fantastic form.
But can any of them threaten RJ Wilson, who is such a smart tactical racer, and when she needs to can be very quick? Well, Lindsay Sharp will be looking to take a move forward here. She was actually beaten in the UK Championships a couple of weeks back. She likes to go on pretty quickly, as you can see there to the left of picture. It's Sharp who's gone off perhaps the fastest, even quicker than Yarrigo, the pacemaker, who comes across from left of picture. Gould on the outside there, staying wide, and RJ Wilson moving up onto the shoulder of the pacemaker. Lindsay Sharp trying to slot in behind the pacemaker and just making a little bit of contact there, I think, with RJ Wilson, who was leaning in on her a bit. RJ Wilson likes to dominate races. She likes to call the shots, and I think athletes should challenge her more often. There she is. She's in the lead now of the rest of them behind the pacemaker, and they know she's strong. You've got to try and mess up her race plan, because they let her have it unfold her way, and she's almost unbeatable if they do that.
Well, she's a standout athlete if you discount Caster Semenya. And were she to win this race, RJ Wilson should be the first American woman to ever win an 800 metres in the Diamond League.
57.1 at 400 metres. Pretty good pacemaking, although they're 3 or 4 metres down. 300 metres to go. Now, Lindsay Sharp has got to hang on to RJ Wilson for all she's worth here, these next 250 metres, the Britons. The rest of them are there as well. There's still plenty of battles to come here. Aikens is running well for the Belgians. She's up there in third or fourth place. Certainly some work to be done here by the likes of Raven Rogers, back in about sixth place. But RJ Wilson just wears them down. Sharp in second, Gould on the outside, coming round the outside there, the Jamaican, the Commonwealth bronze medalist, and Sharp now beginning to struggle as Gould goes past her. And RJ Wilson, as ever, eases away. And Nanyondo now, big challenge from the little Ugandan, pushing hard into second place, and Raven Rogers coming through strongly as well. Might snatch second place, but as always, yes, gets second place to Rogers. The training partners in first and second, RJ Wilson and Raven Rogers. The winning time there, well, just outside 2 minutes after 57.1 first 400 metres. You get the impression there's one or two athletes out there with one eye on Doha and the training they need to be doing, whether it's at a training camp in warm weather or up in San Moritz, and maybe one or two tired legs out there, because you'd have expected that one to go quite some way under 2 minutes. There's not much breeze in the arena. It's not a warm night, but just again and again she finds a way to win, which is RJ Wilson. And she built up that lead there, and there were athletes behind her, Chris, who finished significantly faster. Nanyondo and Rogers, but they were coming from too far back.
Yeah, she did all the hard work, didn't she, in the early stages of the race. She does it in the nicest possible way. She likes to bully a race. She likes to dictate the race on her own terms. Nanyondo, you're right, is finishing very quickly indeed, but by this time, the race is gone. Rogers as well, making it a USA 1-2. That's good for them. And of course, by RJ Wilson winning, USA get an extra place at the World Championships in this event.
Well, all smiles there from RJ Wilson. She looked really unstressed there, didn't she? Looked very calm indeed through that last 50. Not even checking around. I think she knew she'd done enough for that acceleration through the final 300 metres after a pretty quick first lap. I mean, nobody's going to come back with another 57. Not from this crop of women anyway. 1000 has been requested, which represents a significant acceleration. Well, will they go with the tempo? We've had a couple of races tonight where the athletes have chosen to pretty much ignore very ambitious pacing. But Timothy Cheruiyot, he could be the danger man. There he is in the all black going through, slotting into third place. He's in fabulous form as the 23-year-old Kenyan. Just recently set a new personal best for 800 metres, 1:41.11 at altitude in Nairobi. And that tells me that he's ready for something very special. He is the fastest in the world this year with 3:28. That was in Lausanne, only a click off his lifetime best. Indeed, he's the world number 1 at the mile as well after that big win in 3:49 in London. So he's got everything going for him at the moment as Timothy Cheruiyot. And the pace is quick, Chris. There's no doubt about that. Single file for the first 6 or 8 very early on.
Well, they've asked for 54 seconds through 400 metres. And we'll see it now. 53.78. It's inside that. It is very quick indeed. Cheruiyot, who won 6 out of 6 Diamond League races last year, 4 out of 5 this year. He is Mr. Consistency and the man to beat here, the world number 1.
Well, I suspect Cheruiyot's gone through in about 54.2, 54.3. The Ingebrigtsens recognising the danger of this race running away from them. They're leading that second pack. Philipp and Jakob back in, 7th and 8th places at the moment, trying to close up in this leading group, which is steaming along. Up there as well as Suleiman. He's tucked in behind Timothy Cheruiyot, who's in 3rd place. And then Tefera, the world indoor champion, who set a world record for 1,500 metres in Birmingham back in February. He's in 5th place. So they're looking really strong. And now they've begun to close up. And you only need one person in that line to start struggling and gaps appear. And the others behind them have to recognise it very quickly to go round them and close the gap before it grows too big.
Well, Cheruiyot, always a joy to watch with that forward-leaning style as one of the pacemakers drops out. So Cheruiyot the target here.
1:51.4 at 800 metres. That second lap, 57.7. I knew that first lap was too quick. It was a 4-second quicker first lap than the second lap. That's not great. It really isn't. So we're back to more sensible pacemaking. 1:51.5 in effect at 800. But they've done it the hard way with 2 very uneven laps as Cheruiyot eases past the second pacemaker there, Kiprugut, and looks strong. He comes towards the bell now. He's pushing on and he's got that gap, and it's Tefera in 2nd place, Suleiman in 3rd, Philipp Ingebrigtsen with his younger brother Jakob shadowing him, moving up into 3rd and 4th now. But Timothy Cheruiyot has snatched that 7 or 8 metre lead. He's got such a deceptive style. He's got a long stride. Looks almost flat-footed, doesn't he? But he moves, he covers the ground so wonderfully. It's Tefera in 2nd place from Cheruiyot. Philipp Ingebrigtsen in wonderful form, the 2016 European champion. 200 metres to run. Jakob Ingebrigtsen, the 18-year-old, roars past his brother, but the gap surely now to Timothy Cheruiyot is too big. This is going to be quick. Watch the clock. Cheruiyot and Jakob Ingebrigtsen closing fast on Cheruiyot, who has a little glance over his shoulder there, just as well he did, because he's tearing up towards Timothy Cheruiyot. The gap's going to be too big. He's going to run out of track. Watch the time, though. This will be quick. It's going to be a click outside 3:30. And Jakob Ingebrigtsen, Philipp Ingebrigtsen, 2nd and 3rd. I think that was Tefera back in 4th place. Another very comfortable win for a smiling Timothy Cheruiyot. Doesn't even look stressed, does he? He's just run 3:30 in a rather disjointed manner, I have to say. A 53.7 first lap, a 57.7 second lap, and then I suspect a fairly steady 3rd lap from Cheruiyot. But he won that in 3:30 from just about the whole lot of them at the moment on the global scene. I mean, that was a fabulously strong field, 3:30.22. And he went through 1,200 and 2:48.5, strode around that last 300 metres, and he looks very comfortable indeed. And there's a big hug from Jakob Ingebrigtsen, I suspect from a close friend. 3:31.62 his time in 2nd place, and Philipp Ingebrigtsen 3:33.33. Musigalo, who's won some big races this year, down in 4th, in fact.
Well, Cheruiyot moving effortlessly, as you say, and I agree, Tim. Deceptively quick, isn't he? And as he hit the bell, well, he just opened up that gap really easily on Tefera. Tefera trying to play catch-up, and at this stage, neither of the Ingebrigtsens is really featuring, and really impressive response from Jakob. And here we are, and Cheruiyot absolutely wise to have a little look behind him. He'd done the hard work, he'd got enough of an insurance policy in the bank for Ingebrigtsen, Jakob Ingebrigtsen, to be able to reel him in. So second and third for the Norwegian brothers, but yeah, that's 3:30.22. That's the third fastest time in the world this year, and he made it look very, very comfortable indeed.
Well, it shows what sort of shape he's in when he can cross the line smiling and unstressed. Timothy Cheruiyot, 3:30.22. Jakob Ingebrigtsen finishing like a train there. He let the race get away from him a little bit. I think he'll be pleased that he's run 3:31, and yet he finished with plenty in the tank. There's more to come from Jakob Ingebrigtsen, there's no doubt about that, and he justifiably is talking about running sub 3:30 pretty soon.